What is clearly visible here in early 2021 is that the whole climate plan, carbon neutral by 2025, yada yada, is riddled with spin, greenwashing, and creative accounting. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Michael, urban designer, author, and host of the global documentary series about urbanism, The Life-Sized City. This little video today, it was a lot like researching the video I posted last time about the Copenhagen mega project folly of Lynetteholm. It is a labyrinth, man, of documents, websites, articles, you name it. Oh, sometimes, I just wish I had a cooking channel. I could just stand there with a glass of wine, whipping up some of my recipes, like Dane fried rice, a little fusion between the Nordic cultures and Asian cultures. But never mind, here we are, fighting for our city, fighting for other cities, and for an intelligent, sustainable urban future. Oh. Right, back in 2012, Copenhagen started its journey to becoming, and this is my first use of air quotes, the world's first carbon neutral capital. Man, the hype, it swelled and swelled for years until it became a tsunami. It has been absolutely everywhere. Articles, headlines, news reports, you name it.
Hold on, just a minute. What did I just see there? Go back. Can you go back just... No, not that one, the next one. Yes. Yeah. Se bare der. The New York fucking Times are writing about little Copenhagen. Der var den jo. Oh, shit. The Guardian, no, I don't know that one. This Forbes, New York Times and Forbes. Copenhagen.
Now, I have previously done some reading up on the topic, and I knew from early on that there was a strong element of marketing involved. I just didn't know exactly how much. But now I've been really deep diving into the topic, not least because the date is fast approaching, but also because I've been talking to a couple of friends and colleagues of mine who wrote this book, Street Fights, Bicycle and Car Politics in a Green Mobility City. A Green Mobility City. And in conversations with them, I have learned so much. And when you dig deeper than the headlines or staying above the scroll on the website, things change drastically. Skeletons emerge from the closet. So let's try and do some myth busting of really the biggest bag of hype in global urbanism over the past 10 years. Firstly, alarm bells should be ringing loudly when you hear the phrase carbon neutral. Let's be absolutely clear about this. This is not the holy grail of decarbonization. There is a big difference. Oh, I remember it so well back in 2019 when the world's favorite teenager showed up in Copenhagen for a climate rally. Oh, everybody who was anybody was there. All the politicians were lining up with their signs and marching through the streets of Copenhagen and then ending up outside the parliament to hear Greta Thunberg speak.
Oh, I remember like it was yesterday. All the people out on the streets, it was a wonderful day, so beautiful, so warm. People walking with their signs, and listening to Greta speak to us, It's like we understand each other. We want the same thing, we're all from Scandinavia. And it's like, in some way, Copenhagen was like made for Greta Thunberg. It's like Copen Thunberg, Greta Hagen,
Beautiful words. Like carbon neutral Copenhagen 2025. It sounds really good, but if being carbon neutral does not include transportations, shopping, food, aviation, and shipping, then it doesn't really mean that much. In fact, sending these messages that suggests that real action is going on when it really is not, probably does more harm than good.
Yeah. No.
We are told in the glossy communication for the Copenhagen 2025 climate plan that it is based on 4 pillars. So what are they? City administration initiatives, energy consumption, mobility, and energy production. Now, there are about 60 different initiatives that the city has in play working towards the goals of these 4 different pillars. But I'm just going to cover the highlights here today. So, city administration initiatives. These include reducing energy consumption on street lighting and municipal buildings by 40%, shifting to non-polluting municipal fleets, and sustainable procurement. Now, efforts have been made on all of these fronts. Some pretty cool stuff has been happening, absolutely. But this is really kind of the loose change in the wallet. And then you have installing solar panels on municipal roofs. Now, our neighbor to the south, Germany, is absolutely the sunshine darling on this topic. They went from zero to hero in a very short time. Now, today, 8% of energy production in Germany comes from the sun. In one of the countries in the world with the least hours of sunshine. So we know that it is possible, and we know that technology has advanced to make it possible in many regions around the world. This book by a friend of mine, author Chris Turner, is an absolute must-read on the topic of solar and in particular Germany, as well as all the important aspects of sustainable energy transition. I also interview him on the Life Size City podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, but I'll link down in the description to that. But here in green Denmark, there are simply so many old rules still in place. For example, a private company can, with permission, install solar panels on the roof of a municipal building, but the municipality is not allowed to use the power from it. If a municipality wants to put solar panels itself on the roofs of its buildings, it has to set up a private energy company for each of the facilities involved. At the moment, you can't share green energy between addresses in Denmark. So if a municipality has, for example, a kindergarten and a daycare next to each other, but at different addresses, they can't share the energy from one solar facility. This is so crazy. The technology has advanced so much. There is now a clear cost benefit to putting solar panels on a roof as small as 200 square meters. But the rules here in green Denmark are so Kafkaesque. Now, this is the national government that needs to act, but nobody anywhere is really doing anything serious about this topic. Right, looking at energy consumption. Some of the goals include trying to reduce the heat and electricity consumption by 20% in commercial buildings, 10% in residential buildings. I don't know about you, but that sounds kind of low and unambitious to me, but hey, there are plans for improvements for the construction sector, energy efficient buildings across the board, solar cell coverage to cover 1% of the consumption, and well, we already heard how that is working out. Back in 2010, heat and energy consumption in Copenhagen accounted for 75% of the total CO2 emissions in this city. So this is clearly an issue that needs to be tackled. Now, one of the great public works projects, it really has to be the district heating system, efficient distribution of heat. And now we're seeing district cooling as well. Seawater being pumped around to cool off, well, you know, all the stuff that needs to be cooled off. Having district heating is an amazing gift. But of course, it depends on how that energy is produced. And yeah, I'm going to get to that. Then there is the comprehensive recycling system that we have in place in this country. Add to that the recent addition of food waste, which is collected separately and which goes off to a biogas facility. A while back, I made a dorky little video about what it's like to recycle here in my home and how we separate all the different things. And oh, you're going to love this irony. We have some incredibly energy efficient homes in Denmark, but what we're seeing is an increase in energy consumption. People are all like, oh no, just leave the lights on, honey, right? Just leave the radiators blazing away while we go off to work. It's okay. It's an energy efficient home. And what's happening? They're using more energy. Right, let's move on to mobility. I have ridden a bike for transport, privately and through my work in over 150 cities around the world. There is nowhere on the planet that I would rather ride a bike on a daily basis than Copenhagen. Oh, the uniform network of best practice bicycle infrastructure and not all this randomly slapped together lazy planning that you see in most other places around the world. If you see any planning for bikes at all. 63% of the population in the city of Copenhagen ride a bike to work or education in the city every single day. So you kind of know it's got to be a good thing. In fact, 90% of the population don't drive a car. Bikes, public transport, and walking are the backbone of moving around this city. A lot of work has been put into this over the years. Now, you would think that in a climate plan anywhere in the world, the primary goal would be a drastic reduction of the number of automobiles driving in a city, like we're seeing in cities like Paris, Barcelona, Milan, Amsterdam, Oslo, etc., etc. But this is where the Copenhagen 2025 climate plan starts to crumble. This is the clay feet on their false idol. 90% of transport emissions and pollution in the city of Copenhagen are caused by cars. 90% of transport emissions and pollution in the city of Copenhagen are caused by cars. The 2025 climate plan called for a reduction in the mode share for cars. Not the people living in the city of Copenhagen that I mentioned before, but the people coming from the other municipalities around the city, from 33% to 25% by, 2015. Didn't work out at all. It actually went up to 34% in 2018. And there are no signs that it's going to go down. And there is no political will anywhere that I've seen recently to do anything about this. Plans for a congestion charge ring, man. Super modern, super awesome, like we see in London, Stockholm, Oslo, Singapore, Milan. Yeah, they were dropped. Then they put all their money on parking reform, but that stalled. So you know what the city of Copenhagen did? Yeah, they just kind of moved the goalposts. The goal of 25% modal share for cars has been moved to 2025. But you heard it here first. Nothing will happen. In fact, the number of cars will increase. We know this because there's over 11,000 new cars in this city every single year. In an update to the 2025 climate plan entitled the Copenhagen Climate Plan Roadmap, not cycle track map or tramway map, no, just roadmap, but hey, it states black on white that Danes will own more cars in the future, but that's it. If this was a document, man, coming out of a visionary city like we're seeing around the world, like Paris or Milan, there would be a comma, and it would continue with, and we have to do everything in our power to stop this from happening and to reduce the number of cars in our city. But in the Copenhagen document, it just ends with a period and a shrug. An obscenely expensive and unnecessary mini metro has done nothing to move motorists over to public transport. All it's done is free up space on the roads for more cars. The city of Copenhagen, man, they really want you to believe that there is a strong link between mobility and their climate plan. But there simply isn't. They simply don't want you to know about this. They certainly don't want you to write about it in all of the articles in the foreign press, all the news coverage about the climate plan. But this is the second biggest spin in this whole charade. And that segues perfectly and elegantly into energy production. Do you know how they plan on tackling the rise in car traffic in this city? With a word as awkward as carbon neutral: offsetting. The city of Copenhagen, thanks to incredibly creative accounting, just sweeps car traffic conveniently out of sight, out of mind, under the rug, by offsetting it with, first of all, wind turbines off the coast of the city. Now, I had read about this in the report a while back, but I hadn't heard anything in the news about movement on this topic. So I was talking to the Greater Copenhagen utility company called Hofor, and they confirmed to me that comprehensive studies are underway as we speak about the implementation of 2 big wind farms near the city of Copenhagen. But doing studies is one thing. I asked them if it was technically possible for both of these wind farms to be operational by 2025, as outlined in the climate plan, and they assured me that it was technically possible, if there is political will to take it all the way. The number of cars is increasing, oops, but hey, look at our new wind turbines. Now, I am completely fine with wind, absolutely. Denmark gets 40% of our energy from wind power. More of that, man, all good. Although the utility scale batteries that they talk about in the climate plan, yeah, I haven't seen those anywhere yet. Maybe that was a bit optimistic. And now we get to the biggest spin in this whole charade. We get to the point where everybody's bullshit detectors should be kicking off big time. The whole show, really, the whole show is resting on one area. All of their spin money on the roulette wheel has been placed firmly on biomass. Switching power plants from coal to biomass. I know, right? Seriously, biomass. There are so many issues with biomass, and especially with calling it environmental friendly, that it just blows the mind. So where does this biomass come from? 96% of the wood pellets and the wood chips burned in Danish power plants in 2018 were imported. We imported 3.8 million tons that year, and that number is going to go through the roof. About half of the wood pellets and the wood chips that we get come from the Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. They are clear-cutting forests in Estonia to provide the wood for us to burn in power plants. There's a dude, I can't remember if it's Latvia or Estonia, who is a multi-millionaire. They call him Mr. Pellet because he's capitalizing on this. He is a logging magnate, like it is 1852, man. It's insane. 19% of the wood that we import comes from the United States and Canada, and that number is going to rise as well. Let's be absolutely, incredibly, super duper clear right now. Biomass is not environmentally friendly or sustainable. They are clear-cutting forests as we speak. Biomass is not carbon neutral. Using it as a flagship in a carbon neutral climate plan, you know what that is? That is greenwashing. That is really, if you think about it, lying to the citizens, and it's just pretty stupid. It's like saying, oh, I'm quitting smoking, man. I'm done. Oh yeah, had enough of that. And you throw away the Marlboro packs or the Camels, and then you just start smoking American Spirit. Oh, but it's like the preservatives, you know, there's all the chemicals, they're not in there. It's almost like an eco-cigarette, so I'm good with that. It's like unfriending and blocking the coal industry on your social media. I don't want to talk to them anymore, but then going over and super liking the logging industry and their evil twin, man, the heavily subsidized multi-billion euro biomass lobby. If you love big oil and big coal, man, you are gonna love these people. I got a link to an article down in the description that came out literally today. Talk about cool sustainability karma, man. Have a read. And of course, all the CO2 produced by the agroforestry industrial system is not included in the city of Copenhagen's careful calculations. These are displaced emissions, right? Fancy word for they happen in faraway places, so we really don't have to take them into account here in our document. Just like the displaced emissions from foreign car manufacturing, oil extraction, oil refining, and so on. And not surprisingly, all of the CO2 intensive heavy lifting if they end up building the mega project of Lynetteholm. Do you know when that's scheduled to start? 2026. Yeah. So it's not going to mess up the whole media hype about the 2025 Copenhagen climate plan. We'll wait for the glorious headlines from around the world praising Copenhagen, and then we'll spend the next 50 years shitting on the population. Here in early 2021, it remains to be seen if Copenhagen will reach its self-acclaimed and carefully designed goal of becoming the world's first carbon neutral capital by 2025. This is a city where a lot of cool things have happened. It is a benchmark city in so many ways. What is clearly visible here in early 2021 is that the whole climate plan, carbon neutral by 2025, yada yada, is riddled with spin, greenwashing, and creative accounting. Please don't believe the hype.
Greta said that in Copenhagen, like here in Copenhagen in 2019. Yeah, well, also, if you think about it, right? I mean, she is just a kid, you know, teenagers, you know. I have some of those too, you know, kids today, as they say in English, you know. And of course, you know, she's also Swedish. So Swedes today, maybe as well, right? But I mean, I think, you know, when they're just kids like that, you know, having a bit of fun, you know, not going to school, you know, taking a free day, you know, away from school, you really have to just say, and this is like something we say in Danish, you have to take it with a grain of salt, you know. So, yeah. No.